You know, in our digital work lives, security is, well, it's always on our minds, right? How do we protect our company's data, our customers' data, and our own? But what if I told you a recent study found something that kind of flips our whole idea of digital safety on its head? Let's get into it.
Okay, so think about it. When you log into your work computer, or any company's system really, what's that very first hurdle you have to jump? For most of us, the answer is, well, it's pretty obvious.
Yeah. It's always the front door, isn't it? We're all taught to focus on that. We come up with these super complex passwords. We use our phones for two-factor authentication. We go through all these hoops just to prove we are who we say we are. And it totally feels like that's the most important piece of the whole security puzzle.
And that's the exact question researchers decided to dig into. What if all our focus on that digital front door is actually distracting us from what's really doing the heavy lifting behind the scenes?
So to put this whole idea to the test, the researchers needed, a real pressure cooker environment where security and performance are absolutely everything. And they found the perfect place, the HR department of a fast-moving fintech company.
We're talking about Dinarak, an e-wallet service. Think about it. Money, transactions, super sensitive employee data. It's all zipping through their systems constantly. If something breaks here, it's a huge deal. That makes it the perfect stress test for figuring out which security measures actually make the business run better.
And the system they zoomed in on was the company's EHRM. This thing is basically the operational heart of the entire workforce. It handles everything from payroll to team performance. So keeping this thing running smooth and safe, yeah, that's non-negotiable for the business.
So, the researchers pinpointed 3 key parts of network security. Let's call them our 3 main suspects in this investigation to figure out what really makes their HR system tick.
All right, suspect number 1, this is the one we all know. It's authentication. Just think of it as the bouncer at the club door, checking IDs. It's all about making sure only the right people get in. It's the most visible part of security, for sure.
Okay, on to suspect number 2, confidentiality protection. So, if authentication is that bouncer, then confidentiality, that's like the solid steel, totally unbreakable safe inside the manager's office. It uses things like encryption to make sure that even if a bad actor got past the bouncer, the data itself is just scrambled, unreadable junk.
And that brings us to our third and final suspect, network monitoring. This one's the silent guardian, right? It's the 24/7 security camera system, watching every little thing that happens inside the network, looking for anything weird or suspicious to stop trouble before it even starts. It's all about keeping things stable.
Okay, so we've got our lineup: the bouncer, the safe, and the security cameras. The researchers gathered data from almost 400 employees, crunched all the numbers, and, well, let's see what they found.
So, what's your guess? Which one do you think really moved the needle for the company's performance? Was it the tough bouncer, the unbreakable safe, or those watchful security cameras? The answer might really surprise you.
Whoa, okay, let's break this down, because this is where it gets really interesting. That column on the right, that's everything. Basically, that p-value tells us if something had a real impact or if it was just, random chance. And for it to be significant, that number needs to be super, super low. Now look at authentication, our bouncer at the door. That number is, well, it's high. That means the data showed it had no real measurable effect on how well things ran. None. But then look at confidentiality and monitoring. Their numbers are crazy low. That means they had a massive, absolutely undeniable impact.
And if you want to see just how big of a deal this is, look at this chart. I mean, it's not even a contest. Look at that tiny little bar for authentication. All our obsession with passwords, it barely even registers. Then you see these 2 giants: confidentiality and especially network monitoring. It was the most powerful factor by a long shot. It's a complete knockout.
So the takeaway here is huge. Yeah, you obviously need a lock on the front door, but having a really strong one didn't actually make the business run any better. The things that truly supercharged efficiency and stability were protecting the data itself and making sure the system was constantly watched and stable.
So the verdict's in, and honestly, it just flips the entire script on what we all thought was important. This gives us a totally new playbook for digital security because it's about shifting our focus away from just getting in the door and toward real protection and stability.
Okay, so what does this actually mean for you or for your company? First off, you got to prioritize confidentiality. The data itself is the treasure, right? This means things like end-to-end encryption. Second, invest in monitoring. Think of it this way: system stability isn't just an IT problem, it's a business performance issue.
This is about having systems that spot weird activity, like a login from a weird place at 3 a.m. And third, you have to start seeing security as this deep, layered system. Because that part you see every day, the password, that's just the tip of the iceberg.
So if you want to boil it all down, here's what the researchers are saying. It's not just about who gets in the door. It's about making sure the whole system is rock solid and the data inside is safe, because that's what actually lets a business run efficiently and make smart decisions.
And that really leaves us with one last big question to chew on. In a world that is so obsessed with passwords and logins, this study forces us to ask, are we just focusing our energy on what feels secure, the illusion of security, or are we actually building on a foundation of what truly works?